More Heart Than Talent Radio.
Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, in the Golden Mastermind studio here this afternoon on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, June 2nd. Summer welcome. Very interesting times for us Canadians and Americans, so thank you for being on today's Facebook Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Eric Picard, Kennedy, good to see you. Jay Johns, Tom Nash, welcome, welcome, welcome. Going to have a great Facebook Live here this afternoon on a very apropos topic, anxiety, fear, and doubt. And then later this evening at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. Pacific, I will host another Pray for Peace Facebook Live this evening. I started that last night, had a lot of turnout for it. A lot of praying, a lot of healing, and a lot of letting go. So the topic for today's Facebook Live is anxiety, fear, and doubt. And that is a place that I have lived through portions of my life. And in the last few days and weeks, going on for moving into 11 weeks or so, I've experienced some feelings of that. And these types of feelings can also manifest mind-body conditions that we continue to behave in. So common ones that you'll experience in any kind of anxiety, fear, and doubt about the possibility of what if. And there's a lot of what ifs in our world right now. We're in an election year. You see what's happening, the narrative that has been written. The ball keeps moving over here. Every single day there's a new situation, there's a new change, there's a new opportunity, there's a new rule, there's a new guideline. Our body is going through a lot. So what happens is the body and brain separates. The objective in today's Facebook Live is to assist you and me not only to be in our body, but to be able to stay in our body. Now, in a mind-body experience, rather than an outer body experience, in a mind-body, it means that you are one with. I am one with. So one with meaning I'm here right now, and I'm focused on this right here. And if something comes through the news feed, or I watch the news, or I watch the news behind the news, or whatever comes to me, I don't find myself going, oh my God, I don't go into an automatic panic. The ego wants to know the outcome. And I found myself a timer 1,000 in the last few days and weeks, wanting to know the outcome, wanting peace, wanting it to end, wanting to go back to normal, wanting to go to watch a baseball game, wanting to get on ESPN, wanting to follow the NFL draft, while also doing business, owning a business, being in free enterprise, taking care of all the responsibilities that, then being married and other situations. And there's of you who have children, all the other obligations that life puts in front of you. It is very easy for your brain and body to separate and move into an overwhelmed state. It's equally as liberating to be able to find the solution, to be able to be here and be now and be present, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. And even before all this happened, before the pandemic and the situation you see is happening in our country and around the world, we had what we thought was normal. We went to the airport, we went through TSA, we did what we did, we went to baseball games, we went out to dinner, we went to the beach. I mean, this was all part of American, Canadian, Australian, wherever you are watching. This is part of our normal routine. Well, that has been disrupted. And so the body is going to tend to flex and flinch. And that flex and flinch state can create immune system challenges, autoimmune system challenges, menstrual challenges, urination challenges, irritable bowel syndrome, gut issues. I mean, I'm in lower lumbar issues and low back issues, a multitude of situations that we feel out of alignment. Well, we are out of alignment. That's the first situation you start to understand the facts. The facts are that nothing is normal. Nothing seems what it's been. However, we can teach ourselves to adapt and adjust to the situation. The most important situation that we do right now is take care of ourselves without feeling selfish, meaning that take care of your body, exercise, detox, cleanse. I mean, there's never been a better time to detox and cleanse. I mean, especially your liver. Your liver is where you're going to store your anger, your rage, your hate, all of these situations. I'm in the middle of a 15-day parasite cleanse. I do detox baths. I have a steam room in my house. I mean, I do everything possible to rid the body of the toxin that anxiety, fear, and doubt creates. And then anxiety, fear, and doubt also creates avoidance and procrastination. So if you own a business that's relatively new, or a business that you're learning, or you feel panicked because you've lost your job and you're attempting to reinvent yourself, well, you have to teach your body and brain to come together and relax and release, so that you can be one with, so you can focus on the solution. I know in the duress that I've experienced, I've been looking day to day. It's like I'm looking forward to finishing the day in a relaxed body, just going to bed and starting all over again, and just putting back-to-back days together, knowing that it's going to get better eventually. I mean, imagine what people would have felt like in Britain during World War II, when they were being bombed relentlessly by Nazi Germany. For a solid 3 years, actually almost 4 years, for almost a solid 4 years, Britain was bombed on a daily basis, weekly basis, and by Nazi Germany. And so going into an underground shelter became a way of life. They would hear the siren and they would know where to go. And then watching the rubble of the city, that became part of the routine and part of the rubble. So when that ended in 1944, when the Blitzkrieg ended, it's like then all of a sudden society started to go back to what becomes the new normal. Well, we're under a similar situation. We're under a lot of upheaval, and your body's going to react to that. So it's very important that you learn that in the understanding the facts, this is really happening to me. You understand this. Now there's a part of your ego that wants to get pissed off and wants to get angry. There's another part of that's the reptilian brain. That's the brain that sees the lions and the tigers. And that's also the brain that gets really worried and worries about the outcome. And that's when you start to worry about, am I going to be safe? 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 What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you know? And then you get glued into the news, or you get glued into the Facebook groups, and you see it all. And then by the end of the day, you're overwhelmed, or by 4 o'clock, you're exhausted. And then it hinders your ability to be able to relax and rest. So this is why it's important that you understand that anxiety, fear, and doubt is a very low level of transmutational energy. So you end up transmuting that energy onto other people. You end up transmuting it to prospects, to teammates, to soulmates, to vendors, to contractors, to outside influence. And when the best situation you could do is recognize that you're doing this to self, your lower self, and begin the let go process. I know that immediately after this call, I'm going to take a steam. I have seen bizarre content. I saw one of my clients' daughter's home was burned. I mean, I've seen a lot this morning already. It's like, I mean, there's only so much that a human being can take to where the human being becomes a human doing. And then it's like this. The analytically going mind is, oh, WTF. I mean, what's the future hold? The future holds whatever the future is irrelevant right now. What is relevant is who you are right here, right now, and that you address what is going on right here, right now. And you do everything you possibly can to do this. Be productive, live in the solution, connect with loved ones, connect with people that you love. I mean, do your best not to buy into the narrative that, or at least whatever you figure that out. I mean, you figure out what to buy into. I mean, I know what I know, and I'll stay with what I know, and I seek no conflict. I seek no interactions with anyone. I don't want to be in a situation. I don't want to be right. I'm not really looking for anything other than just to get along right now, just to do my best, to be my best, be productive, service my clients, connect with my friends, be in business, stay connected to my wife, and then my employees, and form some kind of community so that we can have that mastermind alliance, one or more coming together of like mind, and do my best not to judge, hate, fall into any of these situations that's going to affect the liver, which then affects other situations in your body. That's what anxiety, fear, and doubt is. Now, depends on oh my God, this is the rabbit hole. I mean, you could go down I could take you down the rabbit hole for weeks and months and days and years. I've been studying what's going on for 24 years. I've read hundreds of books on it. I'll save my opinions to myself for a lot of it. But here's what you want to understand. If you feel like you're being played, you are. If you feel like you're being manipulated, you probably are. So if you understand that, then you move into a place called know. I know that. So that if you know that, that's a huge advantage to you, because once you move into the know, you're moving above anxiety, fear, and doubt. You don't have to figure it all out. All you have to do is know. And if you just know that, then you won't get as overwhelmed. Because also, if you know that you're on the side of God, or on the side of whatever light or whatever it is, not good or bad, or not right or wrong, not black or white, not win, lose, none of these situations, but you just find yourself in the light and you just stay there. And you do your best to neutralize any conflict, and you do your best not to create it. Now, that can also be contradictory, because you may have a stand you want to take. So if you want to take that stand, take the stand. That doesn't mean you have to be a pacifist, but there's a different level of surrender. There's surrendering your will to be overwhelmed, surrendering your will to be right, surrendering to be in conflict. Now, if someone dishes it to you and you have to take a stand, that's your call, and but you take that only on an individual basis, only if you're boxed into a corner, only if someone wants to bring violence to you that you don't seek, then you might have to take a stand. Or if someone wants to do something to you that isn't fair, you still walk away from it to the best of your ability, unless boxed in and cornered. Because if you're really conscious, you seek no violence, you seek no conflict, you seek no confrontation, you seek not being right. You see, you're not seeking that. You just want to be productive, live in the solution, a good life, and connect with your higher power, your God, or whatever it is, just so you have something to hold on to. And that would be the optimum situation. When this moves forward, then you can set your big goals. I mean, you can still have big goals, but right now you really want to be focused on day to day, on who I can be, what I can accomplish day to day. And then all of a sudden a week passes and a little ground is gained, and the little ground you gain starts to compound. And that's what you want to let go of. I coach a lot of people who are so overwhelmed and so paralyzed by the thought of, and they're paralyzed by the thought of being successful, failing, any story that they tell themselves, and then they get stuck in their analytical egoic mind, and they have major challenges letting go. Now, letting go is a skill. It means separating feelings from the events that shape them. Letting go is an ability. It's my ability. So that means that if I'm overwhelmed and I'm in fight or flight, like this, letting go is a longer breath cycle. It separates the neurons that wire and fire, that form the feelings, that come together, that form emotions that are called anxiety. Those anxieties are anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, apathy, and pride. And as you begin to let go, and letting go becomes a skill, now letting go becomes familiar. As letting go becomes familiar, you're separating feelings from events. This is what scales consciousness. So the letting go becomes a lot more like this. It becomes called autosuggestion. It means automatic. It means just it happens. It's autosuggestion. Most people live in a different kind of autosuggestion. Means they get overwhelmed easily. This always happens to me. I'm always overwhelmed. I'm always late. I'm always in a hurry. I'm always last minute. I wait until the clock strikes midnight. I mean, that's not the operative way to live, because it keeps you in a state of fight or flight. Now, emotions give off a corresponding response. That means that if you're addicted to a set of emotions, then you have a tolerance to it. So if you're 25 years old and you're angry like I was, well, the tolerance isn't as high, more than likely, as if you hold on to it till you're 50 or so. So the longer you hold on to a set of emotions, the higher the tolerance. Now, the degree of difficulty of letting go of these emotions is going to be determined by your ability to commit and your ability to learn the skill of letting go. Letting go is an absolute skill. When mastered, it becomes an asset. When you live overwhelmed, that is a liability. When you're overwhelmed, you'll be unorganized, undisciplined, you'll be late, you'll put things off, and that situation compounds. Your house can look like a disaster, can't get your car in the garage, desk looks like a bomb went off, can't find anything in the drawers, you get behind financially. A lot of compounding happens, and this is one of the most challenging experiences of letting go. Is letting go would contradict the the end of the era. And this is why so many people have challenges letting go of being in anxiety, fear, and doubt. Because if you lived in anxiety, fear, and doubt a large percent of your life, then you'll stay in an unhealthy relationship and say, I'm not sure if I can find anyone. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to move away from my parents. I mean, you'll create stories to stay in a suppressed emotional state to fulfill the feelings of being overwhelmed, emotionally addicted to a set of feelings because you're not sure if you can let go. And letting go represents the end of the era. It's the death of the ego being the lower self. And as you become skilled at letting go, separating feelings from the events, then the mind-body connection separates. One of my clients, her name is Cara, C-A-R-A, Desandre, D-I-S-A-N-D-R-E, or Cara DiCicco Desandre, or Sandre. Cara DiCicco, D-I-C-C-I-O. She's a NATE practitioner, meaning Nambudrapad Allergy Elimination Technique. I saw that she posted earlier today who requires their emotions cleared. Well, she's very good at that. She's skilled at the type of muscle testing that she can do remotely to assist you to understand what your emotional code is. But I'll assist you with it this afternoon. If you're overwhelmed a lot, it's going to be because you're worried about situations that haven't happened. And it's not normal, it's conditional. Don't edify the situation. You want to be able to be honest about the situation, but don't seduce yourself into believing that being emotionally addicted is normal. Being emotionally addicted is conditional based on a set of behaviors tied to a series of events that are unresolved. As you begin to resolve the events you hold on to, as you begin to let go, now you're moving into a higher conscious state of awareness. That awareness is understanding, knowing, being conscious, being in a state of emotional power. You change your self-esteem. A lot begins to happen that becomes liberating, inspiring. Your energy shifts, your energy changes, and you attract your reality, a different set of people, situations, to your circumstance, to your energy, to your life. I coached a woman right before this call named Suzanne. I mean, her vibratory energy was like super high. And so in that state of energy, she will attract to her reality people who will feel her. They'll feel her charisma. They'll feel her power. They would feel that. And she's not transmuting from fear. When you transmute from fear, you have gaps and delays in the way you communicate. And that anxiety, fear, and doubt is driven by events that are unresolved and unreleased. And then you worry about making mistakes, getting in trouble, saying the wrong thing, offending someone, being called this or that, or being judged, or any multitude of situations. That's the mixed message that most people live in. And so to stay in that message, what a lot of people do is they chronically avoid or procrastinate. In Latin, that's procrastinare, to avoid. How do I change? Well, you change by admitting where you are. I'm not where I should be. I should be further along. You shouldn't. You're right there, and you'd own that. And you would also be able to accept the situation for what it is. I have a lot of debt. Well, a lot of debt, you'd factor it's $150,000. You'd have it on paper, and you'd have it chronologically written out on how you're there. You'd have a better understanding of how you got there, and then you would own it. That's called rigorous honesty. And in that rigorous honesty, that's acceptance. So if you feel like you're behind or you should be further along, well, let go of that, because you're right where you're supposed to be. And understanding that is acceptance. Then you can begin forgiving yourself for spending a lot of your life avoiding succeeding or avoiding learning the skill set. I mean, you can practice forgiveness, acceptance, forgiveness. Now you can move into gratitude. Gratitude's another emotional state where you really feel so grateful. I mean, even though the times are challenging, I'm not suggesting you be grateful that the times are challenging, but I'm suggesting you find gratitude in something while all these challenging times are going. You can be grateful who you're married to. You're grateful that you're still in the greatest country in the world. I mean, that could be contested at this time, but you would still find some level of gratitude in being in our great country. You would find forgiveness. You begin to forgive yourself and others that have traumatized you or that you've taken advantage of. I mean, one of the situations I did in my early sobriety was I got really clear on the people I stole money from. Again, I wrote letters to a couple of them. I asked forgiveness for it. I attempted to do some restitution. I cleaned up the debts of the people I borrowed money from as an addict. And I really started that next step of that recovery called rigorous honesty. And being a recovering pathological liar, that was a new experience because I would tend to stretch the truth. Most importantly, I'd lie to myself a lot about where I should be, what I could be, and I'd be way over the top without the habits, the skills, and the mindset. I'd have these big ideals, and the action didn't match the ideals, and I would get disappointed. I let go of being a chronic big deal chaser, and I was a starter and not a finisher. So over a 32 plus year career of being a business owner, entrepreneur, I've done a lot of refinement, fine tuning, read thousands of books, practiced a lot of simple discipline, but specifically learned the inner game of letting go. So letting go is a technique, and the technique starts with a longer breath cycle. It's an abdominal breath that separates the neurons that wire and fire in the brain so they don't stay collapsed, condensed, forming a feeling. A longer breath cycle changes the connection between the brain and the body so that the neurons that used to collect and collapse like this now go like this, and they dissipate. So now you have a clean slate. So this is, and in that type of energy, every day is a new day for you. But if you're holding on to the past, then you drag that past around with you, and you bring that past into the new day. And you bring that past in, you wake up with a hangover. You wake up with your neck out of place. You wake up with a low back challenge. Your lower lumbar on your right side of your hip is out. And you got these challenges going on that you just keep dragging around with you. You go to bed with so much pressure on you that you grind your teeth at night in what is called TMJ. And this is what a large percent of society does. They're so overwhelmed in anxiety, fear, and doubt that becomes their identity. That's like always. I'm always fearful. I'm always in doubt. I'm always in anxiety. They may not be verbalizing that, but the communication transmutes it. It shows up in the sentence structure, in the language style of the sentence. It says kinda, that says I guess, that in sentences with I don't know, or anyway. And this is the way the brain and the body creates the disconnection, and this creates the doubt. And doubt is not necessarily an emotion. Doubt is an energy. Anxiety is the lowest level of energy. Fear scales above it, and then doubt is third, because doubt is a space between fear and faith. Doubt is a non-committed state. It means you're almost at courage. Courage is where you begin to change your energy. Courage is not a real high energy, and it's not an emotion. Courage is a quality, and it's a quality that never goes out of fashion, and there's always a market for it. And courage is an energy that you use to scale up, but it's not an emotion. So courage is a quality. You scale up the ladder, and then you step up on the ledge, and then you walk forward. And that's what you keep scaling. You keep scaling the scale of consciousness, which scales you up into awareness, understanding, knowing. Then there's trust and belief. Then there's joy and love. As you scale up higher and higher, your energetic transmutation vibration changes to where you're like this, where people can virtually feel you. This becomes synchronicity, synchrodestiny. People find you, are attracted to you. Your charisma is permeating. It's transmuting. You're transmuting your sexual energy. You're transmuting your love. You're transmuting your joy. So that if you walk into a group that is very, very angry and hostile, there's a probability or a possibility that you won't be injured because your light is so light as you walk into this darkness. Your light lights up the room, and people feel you. All of a sudden, your energy can neutralize theirs. This is why you never combat anger with anger unless you absolutely have to. And this is in the book, The Art of War and 48 Laws of Power, and keep your friends close and enemies closer. You want to understand your adversary. You want to understand your opponent. And if you're your worst enemy, that's what many people say, I'm my own worst critic. Well, you already know that, but it's going to be your responsibility to let go of that, so that you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. Then you are you, and you are free. So that's the content for today on anxiety, fear, and doubt. Letting go, separate my feelings from the events that shape them. Start to use that as an affirmation. The follow-up portion of that is no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. Take a walk today. Say a few affirmations on your walk. Breathe. Create a longer breath cycle. If you sit down to do any business today, focus on the outcome. Focus on the people. Focus on being your best, not your worst. I mean, it's so contradictory the way so many people approach a situation. They go into it with anxiety, fear, and doubt, expecting to not get a result, and then they don't get the result and they're disappointed to fulfill the same set of feelings. Change your expectation, change your wiring. Focus on having a great conversation. Focus on having a good experience rather than worried about the outcome. So many people take real estate tests or they take other testing. They have so much anxiety left over from the tests they took in school, not realizing that they're a much better student today, but they're still bringing that performance anxiety into being a grown-up. And then they get a low score on the test because they worried about it. This always happens to me. I'm not a good student. Well, you might not have been a good student back then. That has nothing to do with who you are today, provided you stop giving it power. Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. And if you have not received a free 20-minute coaching session, you can reach out to me in Facebook Messenger, and I will offer you a free 20-minute coaching session. Also, I see Josh Waxman is on Facebook Live. Josh is a top-tier coach, someone I highly endorse. Alicia Marie Sidoris is learning amazing Reiki skills. Lisa Faye Pazanza, who is giving me amazing support today. I had a great conversation with Lisa today. Lisa is a very skilled LinkedIn marketer. If you're learning how to learn LinkedIn skills, like if you really want to learn how to create leads on LinkedIn, Lisa is a woman who has more leads than time, and she can definitely assist you. She's a LinkedIn coach for hire. Her rates are very, very favorable to today's market, and I highly recommend that you reach out to her, Josh Waxman, and some of my other clients who are on my Facebook Live here today. Josh Moran is also an exceptional young man who is a coach as well, and someone I certified how to be a coach. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great afternoon. I will be Facebook Live this morning, depending how you perceive it. It'll be at around 12 a.m. in the morning Eastern Standard Time, or 9 p.m. Pacific this evening. This Saturday, I will be on a Facebook Live, it'll be a Zoom Live with Sandy Girl Clark on mastering the art of connecting. It will be a 1-hour webinar. You have a great day.
More Heart Than Talent Radio.